Okay, guys. So, in today's episode, I will be talking about an experience I recently had when going to the mall. And I hope you guys can relate because, as a gay man who does like to shop and is interested in fashion in general and high-end stuff and wanting to keep up with the trends, I encountered something I kind of want to know if you guys have ever experienced before. Possibly, if you can relate, let me know. And if you think I'm just full of shit, let me know that too. Alright, guys. So, welcome.
Welcome to Your Gay Best Friend, hosted by Dwayne Anthony. Dwayne Anthony is a husband, father, as well as a professional. This podcast is all about Dwayne Anthony's life, shopping, sex, and whatever's in his head. So get ready for some messed up shit. This is uncensored, unfiltered. Welcome to my gay best friend, and soon to be your gay best friend, Dwayne Anthony.
Just a few days ago, I found myself in a mall, a gay man on a mission. It was the type of mall that had a variety of stores with varying price points. They had your typical stores like an Apple store and a Microsoft, the traditional 2 separate Starbucks, one on each level, a food court, Bath and Body Works, and the like. But they also had the higher end stores like Versace, Louis Vuitton, Tiffany's, Prada, and others. Their anchor stores include a Macy's, a Bloomingdale's, and a Neiman Marcus. Well, the mission, which I chose to accept, was to find a new line of skincare and a new skincare routine. I am over 40 years old, and while I've not been particularly kind to my skin, I haven't been cursed with the horrible craters left by my teenage years of angst, depression, and countless amounts of oily and fatty foods. I wanted to keep my skin frozen in time, rewind the hands of time, if possible. Whenever I would approach a salesperson, I was asked the same question. What type of skin do you have? I thought in the past I had oily skin. This was because halfway through my day, I felt like an oil slick landed on my face. Another salesperson had told me, just because you are oily by the end of your day doesn't mean you have oily skin. It just means you are dry and your skin is creating oils to make up for the dryness. Seriously? If I had oily skin one day and another day I had dry skin, which brings me to another encounter I had with a well-known brand. This company branded themselves with a scientific aesthetic. All the employees wore lab coats. The decor boasted beakers and other scientific shit. I allowed them to test my skin with something that looked like a forehead thermometer, where they gave me my numbers. These numbers represented how dry or hydrated my skin was. And based on these facts, I was sold almost $300 worth of product to help these numbers be raised to the ideal moisture my skin needed to be deemed worthy or healthy. I'm not kidding you guys. $300 didn't include everything either. At some point, I was feeling overwhelmed and just couldn't justify paying so much. But I was guaranteed that within 28 days, my skin would be much better and I would be more radiant, glowing, hydrated, yada 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 bullshit. Or I can get my money back. So I've religiously used these products for about 20 or so days and went back to the store to recheck my numbers. They were worse than before, I kid you not. So I explained the situation, and they changed out some products and told me to come back at the end of the original 28-day period. In a week, the numbers were still the same as from day 21, and I decided to return everything the moment the salesperson then asked me, "But how does your skin feel?" How does my skin deal? Why should that even matter? What the actual fuck? You have a brand that boasts and prides itself on numbers, and when the numbers don't work for you, to try to keep the sale, you play on my emotions? No, not this time. So needless to say, I've been sold thousands of dollars worth of products from people preying on my lack of self-esteem. And I happily and sometimes begrudgingly paid for these products because I trusted their expertise. I refused to allow myself to think with my head because my head was always screaming, "You're not an expert. You know nothing for certain. You're just trying to sell me things I don't need." And there are no real experts when it comes to being you or taking care of you. And like the old saying goes, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. And when it comes to sales, they are so happy to kiss and lick and eat your ass until you boost their sales. Then it's Dwayne who? This day was different though. I had used countless websites and YouTube skin gurus to educate me on what type of skin I actually had. Which, by the way, is traditional normal skin as it turns out. Which is what over 80% of the people have anyway. I've logged hundreds of hours scouring through videos of people who are more like me. Everyday men and women who just wanted to educate others on their passion, skincare. If I saw a hashtag ad, I would just move on. If the article I was reading showed a link with a code for a percentage off, that turned me away as well. In the end, there wound up being one gentleman from the UK who had gained my trust. By the way, his name is James Welsh, and I'm going to link his Instagram and his YouTube channel on the bottom. He has been amazing when it comes to skincare and talking to you like a real person. So here I am wandering around the mall. It was a weekday early afternoon. It wasn't crowded at all. I did this on purpose because I didn't want to have to fight for someone's attention. I had taken a lot of things in account. I had my witty line all prepared for when I would be inevitably asked, "What is your goal?" I would stand tall, look the person straight in the eye, and with a dry and serious face and voice, I would say, "I want to peel the first 3 layers of my skin off my face." Each and every time I said this, I didn't get the response I was looking for. Never a, "You're so funny," or "You don't need that." Instead, every single one of them looked over me and looked very confused, or would say, "I guess I can ask someone if we have a product for that." I don't have high self-esteem, and as a matter of fact, I think I have very low self-esteem. And like many gay men, I could become like very bitchy or defensive and loud when I feel backed in a corner or I want to crawl into a hole and die. Well, this wound up happening every one of those 6 hours I spent bouncing between stores. I'm not kidding, guys. 6 hours. I would make phone calls to people I knew so they knew I hadn't been kidnapped or dead in a ditch somewhere. And I didn't just bounce into each store once. I was there so long, I wound up in each store multiple times, from several different Macy's counters, looking at items like Shiseido, Clinique, Lancome, Estee Lauder, Chanel, to all different sections in Kiehl's and Sephora, Bloomingdale's, being overwhelmed by brands I couldn't pronounce. At one point I was paralyzed and about to cry for fear of making a mistake or a wrong choice. I mean, what is this like every other time? I buy a bunch of products, get discouraged, and never pick them up again? Making decisions are so hard for me. I liken it to the cereal aisle in the grocery store. When I was just becoming an independent person and had to go to the grocery store to shop for the very first time, I spent almost 2 hours in the cereal aisle because I couldn't commit to a box of cereal. Did I want to be an adult and get a Wheaties or Grape Nuts? Which, by the way, has the texture of what I imagine overused cat litter is like. Or do I allow myself to reminisce to my younger years watching Saturday morning cartoons and eating Cocoa Pebbles or some other childlike cereal with mazes and riddles on the box? I was an adult after all. I could do what I want. But needless to say, after 6 full hours in the mall, bouncing from store to store, counter to counter, and several times thinking I must look so strange to these people and they must be calling security on me. I walked away with nothing. I was just defeated and broken. I drove home, only to make a beeline to a local drugstore to buy 3 items. They were by Neutrogena, and because they only had one small aisle of skincare, it only took me an hour and a half to pick them out. But being stuck in my own head for that long, not having a friend there telling me what I should do, made my day off so long and tiring. But I will tell you this. When I did finally make my way up to make my purchase, I was very happy not to hear, "What type of skin do you have?" Or yet have another joke fall flat in my face.